we're really deep into the Disk System's puzzle phase now. Ishido comes to us from Hero, one of the more obscure publishers out there. This was their first game, and they'll be gone by 1992 with only 5 titles under their belt. Ishido was originally released for the Macintosh, where it carried the subtitle The Way of Stones, which is roughly what Ishido means in Japanese. I'm playing the PC port here. The game has an elaborate backstory about how a Taoist monk found an ancient game, and that's what got adapted to computers. But none of that's true. It's a completely new puzzle, created by its developer Michael Feinberg. Ishido was Accolade's big game for 1990, and it got ported to anything that could run a game. That's how it wound up over here on the Disk System. The way Ishido works is that you have an 8x12 board. Into those 72 squares, you must fit 64 stones. All of the stones have one of 6 colors and one of 6 symbols. And every unique combination of those occurs twice in the set of stones. So that's 72 different stones, although you only have to place 64. The first 6 are laid out for you in the corners of the board, and 2 in the center. In this initial setup, every color occurs once, and every symbol occurs once. And then you start drawing and placing tiles. A tile can only be placed if it's adjacent to a matching color or matching symbol. If you don't match for any of your adjacent tiles, then you can't put the stone down. The challenge in Ishido comes from figuring out how to place your stones efficiently. You can easily build a long line of them, but complications quickly set in when you have a spot adjacent to 2 stones. Anytime there's 2 or more stones adjacent to an empty spot, the stone that you place there has to match both color and symbol. Not a total match. You just have to take color from one side and symbol from another. With 2 stones, this is relatively easy. Use the color from one, use the symbol from the other, and you've got 2 different kinds of stones that you could put there, assuming you didn't overlap. With 3 or 4 stones, then among those adjacent ones, you either have to have 2 matching colors, and then 1 symbol that you pick up, or vice versa. And placing between 4 stones requires 2 matching symbols and 2 matching colors. These rules mean that as you're laying out Ishido, types of stones tend to clump. Symbols all come together because it's easy to place them together, and the same thing applies to colors. Eventually your clumps will come into contact with each other, and it's a lot harder to merge than it is to grow. If there are no more moves, the game lets you know that you've lost. Hitting the B button will bring up a menu. Under File, you can choose to start a new game, end your current game, load or save. You have to end your game before you use a lot of the options here. Under Game, your choices are Solitaire or Challenge Mode. In Challenge Mode, 2 players, or 1 player on the computer, take turns putting down stones, and they're scored based on how many connections they make. You can also set up a timer for turns if you want to keep the pressure on. Under the Help menu, you've got options to let you cheat a little bit, take back a turn, have some moves pointed out, or look at what's coming up in the stack of stones. Under Options, you can choose a set of stones to play with. I recommend just sticking to the first 2, because I found the colors in the second 2 hard to tell apart. There's an Edit mode that gives you full control over the graphics in the game. You can design your own board style and tile sets. And finally, you have your choice of 3 different songs to listen to as you play. And finally in the menu, you have high scores, because that's what this game really needed. Ishido seems to be in this weird unknown but not really in Japan. I could find a lot of different videos on it from a lot of different people that all had maybe 24 views. I could tell that the Game Boy version seems to have gotten a better response. The Disk System version seems to be the most obscure of them all. Well, except for the board game version that was released in Japan. You're looking at the only photo I could find online of it. My take on Ishido is it's decent, but not brilliant. Good for a couple of plays every once in a while, but not a strong enough puzzle to really hold you long term. There's a reason why Ishido's fallen into obscurity. It was just one in a veritable flood of puzzle games in 1990, and it really didn't do anything to stand out.